What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I want to present to you guys my opinion on the top 10 most collectible folding knives or knives in general that are out there. Now, really quick, I think it's important to say that you can collect whatever knives that you want. This is in no way like a definitive list saying like these are the only ones to collect or that people do collect, because people collect a variety of different types of knives for a million different reasons. As somebody who's been a forum dweller for a decade and just constantly has his face in Instagram and all these different Facebook groups and collector groups, right? These are the ones that seem to have the biggest groups of people going after them. Now, there's a lot of different reasons to collect folding knives. There are, you just like that knife and you want to collect it. Some people like to collect certain knives that they feel like will appreciate in value over time. Some people like to just collect them because they come out with a lot of different variations. This list does not include any specific category. It just seems to be, that these knives are in the most, the clusters that I see a lot. So some people are going to get something out of this and some people don't. If you don't like the episodes that I do where I just show pictures, don't worry. I've got over 800 uploads where I physically handle different knives. So if this isn't your cup of tea, that's okay. It's not going to hurt my feelings. You can just go check out some of my other videos. I will link as many of these knives or variations, that I can find down in the description so you guys can pick some of them up for yourselves. But just understand that not every single version of these knives that you're seeing are going to be available. Also, these are not in any particular order, more or less collectible. They're just sort of in an order that I find to be entertaining. We're using a screen application today, or a screen recording application today, and I'm also using a mic. I'm going to try and keep the sounds of me tapping on my screen out of the video, but I'm still working out the kinks, so just bear with me. But yeah, I'd appreciate some feedback either way. Anyways, we're going to start off here with number 10. This is the Victorinox Classic. These knives come in so many different variations. It is insane. The one you're seeing here is champagne. They come with I'm going to feel really dumb if I get this wrong, but just bear in mind, I'm not a Victorinox person. I own a Victorinox Cadet and I love it, but there are not only are so many different versions of all these different ones, and truthfully you could collect any Victorinox model could be collectible, right? But the Victorinox Classic seems to be super collectible, and from what I can see, there are more variants of this version than any other Victorinox Cadet style. They come with a simple blade, the flathead screwdriver / nail file, and then a pair of scissors, which is great for EDC. I mean, this is like a perfect minimalist EDC knife. It's also super inexpensive, and even the crazy variants of it, right? So there's a lot of people who just collect this knife, and it's interesting, right? It's not something that you're going to really make money on probably, and that's not the point of this. I'm not trying to teach people how to make money on folding knives, right? It's just something that people like to collect. Absolutely. Moving on here to number 9. I'm not sure why. I mean, I guess so. I can't say I'm not sure why. I collect different styles of knives for different reasons. The Lightning OTF, again, like the Victorinox Cadet Classic, there are a kajabillion versions of this knife. You are seeing here just a bunch of drop points and a dagger style blade, but there are tantos and all these different things. They come in a wide variety of different colors, different two-tone finishes. They have like zombie versions and versions with different prints on the outside. They are a super dependable, I mean, truthfully, from experience, my brother, my sister, my dad, a couple of guys from my old office, and myself, we all own Lightning OTFs, and none of them have broken after years of use. They are very inexpensive. You can find them at lightningotf.com and Grindworks. I'll try to include a link. Different versions are available at different times. You're sure to find one out there for yourself, and they're very recommendable. I mean, at something around $35, sometimes they're close to $50 depending on the variant. These are super recommendable. You can beat on these things. Oh, thanks, X-Ring. I appreciate that. I do enjoy X-Ring. If you haven't checked out his videos, so we're being notified. But anyways, that's the kinks and stuff I'm talking about working out with this screen recording stuff. But anyways, yeah, they're very recommendable, and people do collect them. It's wild. Some people have like upwards of 40. I've seen some crazy pictures on Instagram. But anyways, very collectible. Moving on here to number 8, the Kershaw Blur. Again, like the last two, this is a really cool version. It's one of the newer Damascus versions, and it's got blue with the TrackTech inlays. There are so many different colors of this knife, different blade styles, different, serrated, unserrated, drop point, tanto, all that stuff. A million different versions. They are completely US made. They use a great, is it 14C28N or 12C27N? I can never remember. This one obviously is Damascus, and they've got S30V versions. there are definitely people out there collecting or trying to collect every single variant of this knife. It's a great knife, very usable knife. If you don't like assisted knives, it's probably not going to be for you, but I found it interesting nonetheless. Moving on here, the Benchmade 940. I think a lot of people, you know, if you didn't agree or you didn't know what I was talking about with the last three, the Benchmade 940 is very, very collectible. This is the newer titanium version, which honestly, I mean, despite me kind of having moved on from the 940 in my own personal life, this is one that has absolutely tempted me. There are so many different, there's like the golds, the gold class versions, there's the standard, you know, the old green ones were 154 cm and then they moved to S30V, then they have the S90V and the Dash 2, the G10 with green standoff version, the 940-1, and then they've got a million different dealer exclusives. Somebody to look up Zach's stuff, his channel and actually his Instagram. He is, I believe, an avid collector of 940s, and these are ones that can appreciate in value sometimes. So if I guess that's your goal, the 940 might be one to look at. Next one is, and by the way, you know, honorable mention the Benchmade Griptilian. It's not on the list, but I think people can agree. If I was going to put one Benchmade on this list, I'm trying to be, you know, varying, because I could put every single version of every collectible model through every manufacturer on here, but the list would be way too long. You guys wouldn't watch it. So 940 slightly more collectible than the Griptilian, but the Griptilian certainly an honorable mention. Next up, no surprise to anybody, the Spyderco PM2. Oh my gosh, people go absolutely bonkers for PM2 variants. You guys know, right? There's a lot of, sometimes there's controversy. People, like, every single model or every single sprint run that's available through a dealer sometimes is gone in under 2 minutes. I would love to see a picture of every single color of PM2 out there. We have a blue, I think these were M390. They've got red and green and yellow, and they've got the jade with the M4, and they've got the orange ones with the black. I mean, you know, Spyderco does that. I mean, and we're going to talk about Spyderco. I mean, just like I was saying with Benchmade, if I'm going to talk about every single model that's collectible under the manufacturer, insert Para 3, Manix 2, insert Shaman. I mean, like all flagship models through Spyderco that they do a million sprint runs of, they're very collectible. And in some cases, yes, people do make money on these. Again, not the goal of this video, but it is something, it is one of the reasons why people collect. And also, you know, for people, I'm sure there's people wondering at this point, why would anyone even collect folding knives? What's the point if you're not going to use it? It's a tool, right? Good question. I mean, I'm part of it, right? It's just this compulsive urge to do that. You know, everybody does that in one way or another with different things. If not folding knives, there's probably at least one thing in your life that you collect even subconsciously for no reason other than just enjoying having a multitude of the same item or the same type of item, right? Spyderco's collector group is so big, right? Their enthusiast crowd is so big. They actually have a Spyderco collectors group where you can sign up to receive every variant, I think, of every model. I don't really know how that works. It's the Spydercos you see very periodically with the little numbers and serial codes on the blade. Very, very popular. Moving on here, this is one that I recently had a lot of joy in discovering. This is the GEC 15 or Great Eastern Cutlery number 15. There are a lot of different versions of these, and when they come out, they fly off the shelves. This is like the go-after classic slip joint style knife. In particular, the TC Barlows or the Tom's Choice Barlows, those things go for, I remember like delving into this about a year ago on the blade forums, listen to me like I'm old. Blade forums, looking at what rare variants of this knife go for, and it is astonishing. If you're lucky enough to kind of check into their schedule and see when their next drop is going to be, you can pick one up for a very reasonable price. And I've had a couple of Great Eastern Cutlery knives on this channel. They are very, very recommendable, and they're very amazing prices. They're made in the United States. Absolutely wonderful. This is a beautiful clip point variant. I don't know all of the different variants. This looks like an ebony wood. They have, I think there's like the ancient TC Barlows seem to really draw people in. I've seen these things go for $300-400 sometimes on eBay, and they do not start off at that price. People absolutely collect them, and they are expensive to collect, especially if you're not picking them up right when they come out, but absolutely a collectible knife. Moving on here, obviously, this is on the list, so you can guess two others that are going to be on this list. The Strider SNG, not a super available knife, one that comes in many different forms. They are extremely expensive. If you're going to be a collector of the Strider SNG, I mean, yeah, the PTs, and there's a bunch of customs and stuff too, and Strider knives in general. But I would say the Strider SMG is probably the most collectible Strider knife. There are production versions, there are semi-mid-tech variants, and then there's the full customs. But there are so many different variants of this knife. We're looking at a tiger stripe with a flame titanium here. People go nuts for these. They are not super available, driving up the sort of want it, need it type of aspect, right? So it's you know, for a lot of people, it's really fun to get your hands on a unique Strider that is already, you know, it's made more unavailable by the fact that it's unique, right? So definitely on the list. Moving on here, another obvious one, Chris Reeve, specifically the Sebenza 21. I think peak of popularity for the Sebenza line entirely was 21. I'm sure the 31 will take off just fine. Something that makes them very collectible is that they do a unique they do a unique design on blades, right? So when you find these unique variants out there, like you can see here, this very interesting milling pattern and anodization pattern that's on it, when they do these, they are unique designs. So when you pick it up, you can pick it up for, I think, slightly more than the price of a regular one. They do it in the small variants too. But you get the feeling of having something unique, and it's kind of a dice roll. I don't know that people are making an enormous amount of money on these, right? But they do have Damascus variants and kind of special run variants sometimes, and there are rare models. People who are into Chris Reeve knives in general just go crazy for stuff like this, and they seek out things, I think, that are visually attractive just to them. And I think I don't know that people are really trying to make a whole lot of money on these. I think they just enjoy the classic and very popular, very functional design of the 21, and it's just, you know, fuel to the fire to have something special and unique, right? Moving on here, another super obvious one. This is the one that I'm currently a part of, the Rick Hinderer XM18. There's a lot of Hinderer knives that are very, very collectible, but the XM18 is far and away the most collectible variant. I have no idea. Being an enormous Hinderer fan myself, if you haven't checked out my Hinderer knives playlist, Alex's Knife Box is another great channel to check out. Thank you, YouTube. But anyways, the Hinderer XM18 3.5 inch has the Vintage series. They've got the Signature series. They've got the Card series knives. They've got every different blade shape you could possibly imagine, and every different finish you could possibly imagine, with every different scale color you could possibly imagine. On top of that, there's different variants of titanium anodization. You have different blade steels. Sometimes they do exclusive runs. USA Made Blade and Monkey Edge do some exclusive stuff, right? I'm naming literally the tip of the iceberg, right? If you're going to get into Hinderer knives, just understand it is very expensive. It is not, I would not say they're knives that you know, can make an enormous amount of money on, but there is a lot of enjoyment in it. Personally, I end up sort of buying one and then reselling it, oftentimes for a small loss, to get my next one, and I've absolutely been touched by the venom of this, not to put it negatively, but Hinderer knives are, I don't even know how to describe it. There's just it's very potent. Once you get your first one, it's like, awesome, I'll never need another knife. Okay, maybe I just want one more Hinderer. And then for me, that turned into 18 or 19 different XM18s and over 25 Hinderers in total. I have a problem. Moving on to my last one here, and this one was placed last on purpose because I think it's very interesting. The ZT Hinderer 0392 factory custom versions, or knife. So as you can see here, we have not every single one of these knives that's available. I found this picture on Google, by the way. I do not own this picture. These are not mine. I've only owned one variant of this knife. It does not include all of the models. The last two, I believe, that are available through this, or that were available through this series, are in the next two pictures. But this is essentially a full titanium Hinderer Eclipse that's got the ZT logo on it, but it is basically indistinguishable other than a few factors from the actual Eclipse. And at the time, they were considered better knives because they were full titanium. You could get them for way less than it cost to get an, you had to go to the secondary market to get an Eclipse because they were basically non-existent when these were coming out. And then you had 204P steel versus the S35VN that Hinderer was generally using. On top of that, you had real Hinderer factory hardware, amazing flipping action, which was not something that ZT was the leader of flipping action when these were available. So these things were home runs at a price of about $390. They were limited, and then every now and then they'd come out with a different version. What you're seeing here are not, you know, knives that people have customized. This is how they came out of the factory. So you've got the second one down being the black and bronze version. Then you had like a bronze with gold hardware. Then you had my personal favorite, which is the black with green. I did own that. Kind of salty story with that. It didn't come the way that I had hoped from the secondary market. But anyways, there was a couple Wharncliffe variants, a Bowie variant, Beautiful. The Bowie was an M390, and possibly one other variant was an M390. Couple of mysterious things, but by the way, these are no longer available. They're long gone. People do absolutely make money on these. It is next to impossible to collect every single one, and if you do manage to do it, you spent an enormous amount of money. But people do look for these because they are a set, having all of them together, you know, having a low serial number, having them in perfect condition. People absolutely do seek these out. They are very rare, and they are becoming more rare and more valuable by the day. Another variant that's not included in this picture that I owned was the all black version. This was the very last version that they did. Mine was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. I got an amazing deal on it on the secondary market. It was beautiful. And for some stupid reason, I let it go. I have no idea why. The other variant of it that is very mysterious is the other version of the Bowie, which is an alternate color version. Instead of the blue titanium scales, that had sort of a tumbled finish titanium scales and blue hardware. This one does not pop up like ever. You can every now and then find it on eBay for over $600. Another interesting thing, I don't have a picture of it, but some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. That black-green one, supposedly, and I've seen one picture of this, supposedly some versions of the black and green one on the alternate side, it's using the exact same spanner pivot setup as the Hinderer, right? Well, on mine, it was satin, and only the pivot screw was the anodized green titanium. But I have seen one picture at least of the actual pivot hardware assembly all being green. I don't know if that makes that particular version more rare. I don't know if it was a doctored image. I'm under the assumption it's real, but it makes me think, are there different versions of each knife where the entire pivot assembly is titanium? That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, why they would do different versions of it, but it's mysterious, right? And it adds another element to it. I don't know if certain, you know, if they're more or less collectible in that way, or if that's even a thing, but it's the mystery surrounding these models and why they did such small batches of certain ones, and why certain ones are more or less available or go for more or less price, or more or less, you know, on the secondary market, is just bizarre. I mean, the blue Bowie goes for an enormous amount of money. The green one seems to go for a lot of money. The very first one was the one at the top, right? The different colors, the different anodized hardware, you know, these existed in a time where these wild colors like purple and green anodizing were not sorry, we've got another Instagram. I've got to figure out how to get those notifications cleared from the video. Yeah, the different versions of this just make it so interesting. Yeah, feel free to check out the ridiculous aftermarket prices on these knives. But anyways, guys, I think that's going to be pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys found this entertaining. This was a fun video to do, and I hope the audio came through okay. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.